after his mother or somebody else that was bad. So
my daughter is in my image, but she looks exactly like her mom. She acts exactly like I did.
So she's in your likeness, but she looks like your mom. So she's in your mom's or her mom's image.
Sure.
Because she looks like you.
No, she looks like her.
She looks
but
like
she
her mom.
acts exactly like I did, and it.
Yeah. So she's in your likeness. So she's in your likeness.
Ah.
Yeah, you got those backwards.
Okay.
So,
all right, as you were.
So when the Most High, so Elohim said, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness." He was saying that not only do you look like me, but now you have my nature, you have my power. That's why death and life is in the power of the tongue. That's how the Word created everything, right? Mm-hmm. So he was saying that we are supposed to be the embodiment of dominion on the earth. But we give that up because, again, we go into Autopilot, and we don't hold fast to sound words, and we don't keep a sound mind. We don't stay focused on Him. So because of that, and it's because of Adam and Eve, because they weren't focusing on that. They were just used to, everything just being perfect, and they didn't really hide the Most High's commandments in their heart and take it to heart. Because if they woulda, we'd be good. We'd be good. We'd never be dying. Like, yeah, I'm here, and I ain't going nowhere forever. You know what I'm saying? But no, we gotta toil now. We gotta work for everything. We gotta. It's Adam and Eve. Their archetype or their type is what is actually what happened to us. I'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, go ahead. Keep going. 27.
So God created man in His own image. The image of God created He him. Male and female created He them. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. And God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Replenish the earth. Mm-hmm. Have children. I have questions about that.
Have children.
And subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Can I ask my question?
Go ahead.
All right. To replenish means to restock.
Exactly.
So
you got it. You got it. Genesis. This is not the creation story. This is the recreation. Because he said replenish. But we're not on that right now.
Right. It's a whole bunch. I'm trying to tell you, it's like a year ago.
Yeah, no, we're not on that right now. What would you need to replenish if there was never man there?
Right. And he came to get rid of the darkness that was already in earth. So, yeah.
Just that's a rabbit hole. We're not there yet. We got to get there. We got to get there. So, you're good. That's why I said you got it. You caught it.
Hold up. Yeah. Genesis, my whole life has been the creation story. This, just reading, I've read it for myself.
Okay.
Hundreds of times. Well, I tried to read the Bible a lot. I just never could get through the whole thing. So I've read the creation story hundreds of times, and never has it hit me like this, dude. I am baffled.
Now you're on a whole different spiritual level, because then we were walking on a different path. Now that we're on this path of truth, you're going to start seeing more with the spiritual lens than what man wants us to see. So now you're seeing the scriptures for what the Most High wants you to see them for.
So, June's mama, she actually bought me and ordered me a book. And I haven't read it all yet, but it talks about how Africa, right, the motherland is the whole continent is the Garden of Eden. Now, we know that Moses has specific holy places in that land, like, or whatever. But what happened to Adam and Eve, the fall, they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Mm-hmm. So what happened to us when we went into slavery? Where did we come from?
Out.
We keep making the same mistake because we're not having a sound mind. Mm-hmm. When it happened to Adam and Eve, and then Noah and the deluge or the flood happened, okay? And then after that, once we were set up as a nation, right? After Moshe gave us the commandments or the laws to life, our people did what? They went astray. And each and every time, if you read in the book of Judges, if you read like in the Old Testament at all, we would backslide, and then the Most High would kick us out of the Garden of Eden, and we go into slavery or go into hard bondage. Because, like, if you read some of these other books that were taken out of what Adam and Eve had to go through, Like, when I tell you the adversary was trying to get them every day almost, like they had no peace. It was like they was enslaved. It was like they were prisoners in caves. So, because we're not holding fast to sound words and focusing on having a sound mind, we keep having this generational curse of going into slavery.
Mm-hmm.
He tells us the end from the beginning. Because that's why this is a recreation story. So, we're not in the Garden of Eden no more. We're
Yeah,
not
I was
there.
gonna say he kicked us out the last time for the last time.
Well, no, we're coming back.
I
But
mean,
But he still flooded the earth after the fact because of sin and stuff. So this is not the first or second go round.
okay, all right. So now I have a follow-on question.
Mhm.
I always had this idea in my head that who knows when the second coming is? How do we know that it didn't already happen? How do we know that when Christ came, died, rose again, how do we know that one wasn't already the second? So I say that to say this. If we've been removed and removed and removed and removed,
Mhm.
the Christ story has been written over and over and over in different languages, different
Mhm.
stories, different peoples, Osiris. But who's to say that it didn't already happen and we are the remnants of the, what is it, gnashing teeth and nobody's gonna be able to help you. What's it called? The rapture? Whatever. What if we are the left behind remnants that
Left behind in that context means that you survived and that you're alive. The ones that get taken in that context are dead.
It's just the ones that remain.
I just like this whole thing has got me on this. All these thoughts that I had when I was like 13 are coming back, and it's like, oh, and we can ask these questions now.
You're supposed to ask a question, how else are you going to learn?
Well, when Yahushua makes his return, he's coming to bring war. So that's when you'll know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do we go every year to every nation under heaven? Do they go to Jerusalem to worship at the Feast of Tabernacles? No. It ain't here yet. But it's coming. It's about to get real sci-fi really quick, man. People don't have no idea. I'm telling you. It's about to get sci-fi.
That's why a lot of things is happening right now. Folks trying to open up portals
It's in the
and
Bible.
create God-killing weapons and stuff like that. Like, that's
Yo,
absurd.
I thought I was the only one who. I mean, I thought I was tripping when I seen it.
Wait, why you think we seen all these
somebody came
superhero
out with a
movies?
weapon that says it's called like it's
The
a
God
real
Killer, yeah.
weapon called the God Killer.
Yeah.
That's why
And I'm like,
artificial suns
who?
to power these weapons.
Huh.
Because they know the darkness is coming and we about to go to war.
Again.
All right. I got an AR. I mean, I don't know.
You ain't gotta say that on here, though.
I know. This is kind of live here.
Yeah, Steve, you shouldn't have said that. Genesis 2, verse 7 through 9. Or, I forgot to put 7 on there. Hold on.
Genesis.
If one of y'all can go ahead and read that, that'd be cool. Be straight.
Alright, and Yahuwah formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
So what's the breath of life?
What's the breath of life?
Same thing that wisdom is.
The commandments.
Because it's a recreation story.
Ooh, I got it right in my head.
Oh, wow.
And man became a living soul. And Yahuwah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed.
So what does Eden mean?
What does Eden mean?
Home. To me.
I never thought to look it up.
What? I was taught that he
Pleasure.
was formed in Eden.
That's what it means?
Pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Now what does garden mean? And does it actually mean garden?
Enclosure.
Enclosure.
Enclosure of pleasure.
Enclosure or a covering.
Eden
Or-
means pleasure, garden, enclosure.
Wow.
So where they were at, because it was a paradise, it was a pleasurable place. It was a covering. That's why they could walk around naked and not know it, because they were covered, because they were in the garden, because they were in their perfect, they were in right standing with the Most High. They were in their perfect function. They were in their purpose, and they were in the right place too. It's like Noah had to go to a specific place to build the ark. Enoch had to go to a specific place to be. I think what Genesis say, and he was not. He was taken in a different context. But because they were in the right standing, they had jurisdiction and they had power. But again, Eden is pleasure, and the garden is an enclosure. It wasn't a literal garden. So what verse did you stop
I
at?
was on 8, I'm on 9 now.
Okay, go ahead.
And out of the ground made Yahuwah to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So do y'all still think this is a literal tree?
Mm-mm.
Because we know it's not a garden now, it's an enclosure. That's one.
Questions. I'm so full of questions. You put, I mean, who am I to question his will, but to give us the commandments and then give us him the option to choose, I mean, that's like a gamble. I have my face covered so I can find my words. But that's like a gamble. So it's like, it's like an early version of Job.
True. Hey, June, can you jump down to and read from 15 to 18 in Genesis 2?
And Yahuwah took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And Yahuwah commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat.
So they can eat any tree in there.
Of every tree of the garden.
Read the next verse. Yep.
But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die.
So do y'all still think this is a literal tree?
I have
Yes or no? Just yes or no?
Sounds like it, man. Yes.
You say yes?
Mhm.
Okay. Keep reading.
And Yahuwah said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him.
Okay.
And out of the ground Yahuwah formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see.
Jump to 21.
Jump to 21?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 21. And Yahuwah caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
Oh, I thought her name was Eve. Wow.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
So real quick, so that's the last one in this one. What does that word naked mean, June?
Naked?
Mm-hmm.
Naked, bare,
What else?
partially, totally naked, nude. That's it.
There's nothing else? Go to.
You go to origin.
Mm-hmm.
Shrewd, crafty, subtle.
Now, tell me what ashamed, tell me that word ashamed. What's that word ashamed?
Ashamed. Disappointed.
And?
Disappointed, to be ashamed, to be disconcerted. That's about it, confounded.
Confounded. So they were not confounded. They were not confused. So they're naked, and they're walking around, and they don't know it because they're in the enclosure
And
of
not
pleasure.
ashamed, so they knew they were naked. They just
Right? They weren't because they were just before the Most High. I mean, we're all naked before the Most High. We can't hide anything from them. But there's something. There was a change. So let's keep going. So let's go to Genesis. Oh man, I did put that whole thing in there, didn't I? Hold on. Let me see if I can skim this down. Oh, wrong thing. What did I do with that? So I'm gonna read Genesis 3. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, You shall not eat of the tree of the garden, of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die. So, should this woman, you're not supposed to speak words or wise words to a fool. We just read that earlier. So she still be contending with him when she knows the commandment?
Nope.
Is she holding fast to sound words? Because she told him verbatim. She told him verbatim.
the instruction that was given to her.
So, again, she's mixing wine. Go ahead.
I have a question. Okay.
Yep.
So, going back to when the Most High created Eve, woman, whenever he created her, and Adam said, I will call her woman, and he said, when man findeth a wife, leaves his mother and father and clings to her.
Cleaves.
Whenever she decided to talk to a snake, that then she came to Adam. Adam basically listened to his own ideals and went away from his parents and cleaved to his wife. So, I'm trying to find my words. It's baffling. It shouldn't be this baffling, but it is. He cleaved to her, done what she more or less wanted, and in that found himself ejected. Found them both ejected, even after saying cleave to his wife. Now, pay attention to that. He said, leave your parents, cleave to your wife. He had no parents. He was the first, essentially. Air quote for the people who don't see that. So, wherein would he have created these ideals, not ideas, but ideals, to cleave to your wife instead of your parents once you meet a wife? Wherein would he have found that to be of sound mind, having literal the Most High right there? And to go from that to listen, now I'm just getting mad. Sorry, this is frustrating.
Why is this frustrating?
It's frustrating me because you were staring the Most High in the face and having intimate conversations with the Most High, and then he says, hey, I'm gonna create you this thing and you're gonna name it, and then you named it and then said, I'm cool on listening to you. I'm gonna go listen to her because now I feel like I married her. I feel like I'm with her. I feel like we're this thing now. We're this. You created her for me and me for her. Cool. Holler at you. She said it's cool to eat this fruit that you said we ain't supposed to eat from. So he told Adam not to do it. Adam passed the word like a good NCO would, and passed the word to her, and then this thing comes out of nowhere and says, nah, that's not true. I got you. And Adam comes back and goes, well, I mean, if she says it's true, it must be true if it's on Facebook, right? Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm it's
Well, if you look
What's
at
the frustrating part though?
If you look
What's
at
the
the-
point of this conversation?
the
Like, what's
frustration
Well, if you
behind
look
it
at
is
the-
that he created his own laws and then he went with them. Like
Not
God
necess-
didn't say
not
cling to
necessarily.
your wife. He said that. That was his words.
If you look at the definition of cleave, one of them is to overtake. So he didn't overtake that situation alone, or that his wife did when she had that conversation with that servant.
So he was supposed to step in and stop her, and he didn't.
And he didn't. So,
So-
he didn't listen to his own word.
So we know that, like, the man is the head of the household, right?
Yeah.
So when she's talking to the snake, where is he?
Out gardening.
Just outside.
I don't know.
He's not making sure that she's secure or
Okay.
safe. They're in an enclosure, right? But even in that, you think they didn't know about the snake? Like, we got to start thinking, like, do you think that he didn't know about that there was a snake or whatever you want to call this being or whatever?
He named it
So
all.
he wasn't, for one, he knew the sound words. He didn't hold fast to it because he knew what that fruit looked like. He still didn't have to take that fruit. He didn't have to eat it. But instead of listening to the voice of the Most High, which is his law, statutes, and commandments, he followed the commandment that his wife basically gave him through the snake. Because his eyes weren't singular, focused on the Most High. He was just trying to get something to eat and probably didn't want to deal with his wife.
Okay. What if?
Cleave. That word cleave.
What if? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So when he said cleave to your wife,
Mhm.
to join to be together. So if she had so much time to go out here and talk to whatever she was talking to, where was he at?
That's what I'm saying.
So you can't, like, it's funny because people always want to blame the woman for the situation, but had Adam been with
Where
her,
he was supposed to be.
he should have been covering.
I'm blaming him.
That's why the covering is so important for the man over the woman, because they're covering us for a reason. He wasn't there. Because if you out in public with your wife and some man comes to her and approaches, you're going to be like, hey. Like, but if you're not there, what are you going to do? Nothing.
Because it also means to follow closely.
And then when she said, hey, guess what I did? So here you go. And you're going to be like, wait a minute. No, we're not supposed to do that. Second time to correct. And he did not. Crazy, right?
Okay. So-
moral of the story is, don't go nowhere without your wife.
Boom.
Don't let her go nowhere without you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to the grocery store, honey. All right, let me put my shoes on.
Let's go, I'm ready.
I got you. I got you.
Wow.
Because there's serpents out there.
Follow-on question, and I will stop at this. What if, when he allowed this to happen, did not cover her, what if he was still, and I'm reaching, I'm reaching.
Just say it.
Right.
What if he was still reeling from the loss of Lilith?
I don't necessarily believe in Lilith, but
I mean, it's just a story.
don't matter. He was married now, so don't matter.
It's a new creation. You can't dwell on the past, and that's why you have situations now. I mean, this whole biblical aspect, you have to look at a spiritual thing, because it goes back to why our marriage is falling apart. Well, if your husband's not covering his wife, and then if you're still living in a past where that creation was gone, whether it was true or not, if you're still living back here and you're married now, your marriage is going to fall apart. Same concept. This is good though. Sorry.
So, okay, and the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For Elohim doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened. He didn't lie, he's telling the truth. And you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. Because at that point in time, they only knew obedience. They only knew good. They didn't know what it was, what it was even possible to transgress. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes, wait.
Pleasant to the eyes.
It was what?
Pleasant to the eyes.
No, we ain't supposed to be being covetous over anything, right? The Most High said that you can't eat of that. So there could have been other creatures eating it. But to her, she was like, oh man, yeah, that does kind of
Look like they enjoying that.
You see how juicy that thing look? You know? So that's where she messed up, because she started getting covetous behind it. If she wouldn't have looked at it, she'd have been fine. She was like, nah, it don't even look like meat. It don't even look like food, to be real. You know what I'm saying? But no, she focused on it.
Yeah, she focused on it.
And that concupiscence that Paul talks about.
She wasn't having a sound mind.
I was about to just say that, like, she did not have a sound mind. She just was like,
She let the thing run
Keeps
loose.
coming
Autopilot.
back. Keeps
Autopilot.
coming back. Keeps coming back.
Okay, check this out. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Now, we just went over what the Most High says is our wisdom. How is that tree going to make you wise?
Because that's something she made up. To
Boy,
make herself want it even more, make it
Oh.
deserving.
trust me, because one of the books that we're taking out that people are kind of iffy about, I'm going to read a portion of it here in a minute, because we'll try to wrap this up. To make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So for one, she knew that was a commandment, so she's wrong. She broke that. Then, let's say if Adam was really working hard, he was tired, he was just hungry, his eyes were closed, and she just handed it to him, he just ate it. So then you make your husband transgress, but he should have known better, because like, man, this
Just reached
fruit,
without looking.
this ain't the fruit that we ain't supposed to eat, is it?
right.
They ain't even supposed to touch it according to some other books.
Say, what's this? I ain't never had this before. She ain't even looking at it,
Right.
still eating.
Yeah, I like that flavor. That
Yeah.
must be
Where's it
something
from?
new.
You ain't even reading the ingredients. Like, hold on.
For real. And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked. So now they know they're naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahusha, Elohim, walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. Amongst the trees of the garden, wood, timber, flax, or the enclosure, my bad. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. He was naked and he hid himself. So now he can tell. Because now that word naked means he's trying to be crafty now. It's not just being quote unquote without clothes on. Now he's trying to be crafty, like, nah, man. I had to put some fig leaves together, and I had to hide from you. I heard you coming. Yeah, I know that was you. I heard you rapping. And he said, who told thee thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree of the tree whereof I commanded thee thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Being crafty.
He's definitely being crafty, because he's still the head.
He just passed the buck.
Yeah, he did, and that's not what we do, because we're supposed to be, like she said, we're supposed to be their covering. We're supposed to have the sound mind. We're like, hey man, this snake, he gave me this fruit, man. I think we should try it. Like he said, we'll be like the Most High.
Put it back.
You better sit your no. And I did eat. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Did she have any business talking to that serpent after she told him what the Most High said?
Nope.
The conversation should have been over with.
She should have took the serpent to her old man and said, hey, this dude says this. What say you?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, even if what I'm saying is she was already, like, dead set on talking to this dude, which I really don't think it was a snake, it was a dude. and I don't think it was an apple, but that's neither here nor there.
It didn't say apple anywhere, so.
Yeah.
I'm just saying fruit, you know. Anyway, lost my train of thought. I think that since she was dead set on talking to him, she should have took him to her old man and said, "Hey, this is the word that's being passed. What say you?" And he could have dealt with the situation from there.
Right, but the serpent wasn't gonna go over there though, because he didn't want to deal with Adam, because he could have just went
Right.
straight to Adam.
Not only that, why would you want to have her lead the serpent to Adam when the whole way, I don't know how far she was from Adam, but apparently too far for him to see. If she was walking back with him, that serpent has all that time to trigger her mind and say, hey, no, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do this. She should have ran her tail back and told her husband, say, hey, I need you to go check this dude. Like, I mean, that's that.
Should have just sent the bird.
But that didn't happen, so. And here we are.
But if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for that mistake, we would not be here.
And so the woman, her name ends up changing after they fell from grace, because then Adam's like, no, you're gonna be Eve now. You ain't woman.
You don't deserve no more.
Yeah,
What
you are
is the
Eve
definition
now.
of Eve? I'm about to look that up. Make sure I never meet one of them.
Life or living.
Mm.
Adam called, like I skipped down. Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. But I had more I was going to do in that, but I'm trying to get y'all out of here. So we're going to go to Jasher 1. And June, can you read verses 7 through 11?
Come on.
It's on the screen as well. What?
And Yahuwah took Adam.
No, go ahead.
And Yahuwah took Adam and his wife, and he placed them in the Garden of Eden to dress it up and to keep it. And he commanded them and said unto them, from every tree of the garden you may eat, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat thereof you shall surely die. And when Yahuwah had blessed and commanded them, he went from them. And Adam and his wife dwelt in the garden according to the command which Yahuwah had commanded them. And the serpent which Yahuwah had created with them in the earth came to them to incite them to transgress the commandment of Yahuwah which he had commanded them. Now I'm going to repeat this. And the serpent which Yahuwah had created with them in the earth came to them to incite them to transgress the commandment of Yahuwah which he had commanded them.
What?
He said to 11. And the serpent enticed and persuaded the woman to eat from the tree of knowledge, and the woman hearkened to the voice of the serpent. And she transgressed the word of Yahuwah, and took from the tree of the knowledge of